Joshu, that is, Jesus, was of Israelite birth, and also Aniasu, born near Jerusalem, around 2,000 years before Cosman. His predecessors were of the tribe called Essenes, or non-resistance. He labored to restore the true Mosaical teachings. Ultimately he was stoned to death in Jerusalem. He also taught the doctrine of one great Spirit only. In the Christian New Testament it has been supposed that the so-called Sermon on the Mount is a plagiarism on Joshu's teachings adapted by the Ecumenical Council under the direction of the Emperor Constantine. Chapter 42. God, Jehovah's Son, was wise above all these trials, for he had the light of Jehovah's kingdoms with him. And it will be shown, presently, how much further ahead are the plans laid out by Jehovah's sons, that is, his gods, than by his enemies. Because Pharaoh persecuted the Israelites, Moses put the curse upon Pharaoh. Now, after hundreds of years in the lower heavens, behold, Pharaoh was cast into hell, and then into chaos, and none but Moses could deliver him, as hath been previously described. So Moses descended from the higher heavens, and delivered Pharaoh, and he provided Pharaoh a new name, Elis, and sent him back to earth to labor with the Israelites, in order to fulfill his shortness in righteous works. Elis, therefore, became a willing volunteer, and many angels with him. And these angels inspired 700 Israelites to separate themselves from all other people, and to go and live by direction of the angels of Jehovah. Moreover, the angels inspired these people to call themselves Essenes, as commanded by Moses in heaven. These Essenes were, therefore, a separate people, pledged to Jehovah, the Great Spirit, to have no king nor earth ruler, save their rabbis. And they dwelt in communities and families of tens and twenties and hundreds, holding all things in common. But in marriage, they were monogamic, neither would they have more than one suit of clothes each, and they lived on fruit and herbs only, nor ate they fish, nor flesh of anything that had ever breathed the breath of life. And they bathed every morning at sunrise, and worshipped before the altar of Jehovah, doing in all things after the manner of the ancient faithists. By virtue of the angel hosts who were with them, did they these things. And they held communion with the angels of heaven every night before going to sleep. Elis, who was Pharaoh, had said, because I persecuted the faithists, and raised up my hands against them and against Jehovah, I was instrumental, in part, for their fall. Now will I labor with them, to re-establish them in purity and love. And he so labored. And Elis and his angel host made the camps of the Essenes their dwelling places, watching over these few Israelites, day and night for hundreds of years. Yea, without leaving them, these faithful angels guarded them from all the warring hosts of angels, belonging to the armies of Baal and Ashtaroth, and to the triune God, Luamung, and his hosts. And, though the Essenes lived in great purity of body and soul, yet they were evilly slandered by the world's people, around about them on every side. But Jehovah prospered the seed of the Essenes, in holiness and love, for many generations. Then came Gophaneah, chief of the Luas, according to the command of God, to raise up an heir to the voice of Jehovah. And, in 4 generations more, an heir was born, and named Joshu, and he was the child of Joseph, and his wife, Mara, that is, Mary, devout worshippers of Jehovah, who stood aloof from all other people, save the Essenes. And, because of the extreme youth of Mara, the child was of doubtful sex, whereupon the rabbis said, the child was Aniasu, signifying neutral. The time of the birth of the child was 3 days after the descent of a heavenly ship from the throne of God. And many of the Essenes looked up and beheld the star, and they felt the cold wind of the higher heavens fall upon the place, and around about the tent. where the child was born. And they said, one to another, Jehovah remembers us. Gaphanea, the chief angel of the Luas, knew beforehand what the birth would be, and he sent out around about the Essene encampments extra guardian angels, and these notified the descending hosts of heaven of what was near at hand. So the messengers from heaven tarried until after the child was born, acquainting Elias of the time ahead when Moses and Elias, with their hosts, would come to complete the deliverance of the spirits of the Egyptians, whom Moses had colonized in Atmospheria. Elias said, "Thank Jehovah, I shall once more look upon Moses' face." When the birth was completed, the angels of heaven re-entered their starship, and hastened back to paradise, God's heavenly seat.